Godzilla poster again. I want to make a certain modification of things. I know it's accepted that, or it's set out by scholars. I don't know how they. Well, I know how they get the dates, but that the Gospels are written decades later. I see Mark as very early. I don't see John as late. I don't know why they're getting AD 90 for John, and some people even put him in the second. Well, they actually can't now. They used to try to put him in the second century, the 100s, because of the Rylands Papyrus, P52. That would mean that we have a credit card size piece of the Gospel of John with writing on both sides, and it is an autograph. And again, I don't know why they think they can't ever find the autograph. What if that is the autograph and not just a copy? How is it impossible to find the autograph? I mean, it's rare. It would be amazing, but to say that no early manuscript could possibly be the autograph. The Gnostic stuff, I guess you would have to put that. I mean, there's no way that it's not coming. That stuff is coming in between the time of the writings of the New Testament and, well, Paul, 2 Peter and Jude were probably written when the ridiculousness was coming up about the Gnosticism, same as the epistles of John, right? They're going after the Gnostics, basically, the Gnostic heresy. Paul was early; he was going after the Judaizers, and we can almost see the Gospels being written as, because if we recognize that the canon first got its kickstart into motion because Marcion made his canon, can't we assume that because these people were writing these spurious Gospels that fired up the authentic Gospels to be made? I mean, Mark probably was written. It was written the first. We know that, bar none, the earliest Gospel. It might have been written just for posterity, but it could have also been written because of Judaizers, because Mark is not a Judaizing work, right? And though it doesn't go after the Pharisees, it certainly does not paint them in a positive light. And it kind of just goes through, these are the facts, and nobody could really disagree. Nobody would really disagree with Mark because it's just event, and then you have this early passion narrative that's the last third, or final conflict, if you want to use that term instead of the passion. But why can't we know that we can imagine that Luke is a response to Matthew, but Luke, Matthew, and John, yeah, they might have all actually been responses to each other because they thought the other ones were getting it wrong, right? Because John is really the one that we say, well, that's written by the Apostle John. Mark was influenced by Peter, right? That's the traditions of Peter. But Matthew and Luke, who are these guys? We say that Luke is the follower of Paul. Okay, and that's the one that most agrees with Mark, so that would make sense. Matthew seems like it would be from the family of Christ, right? Like, because he had so many Matthews in his family. But these Gnostic works that come out, and even look at, again, this is the scholar stuff. If you don't accept that Paul wrote the pastorals, that those were a response to Paul and Thecla. That a lot of the early New Testament writing that people say, well, it's disputed, is actually writings that are they're trying to write against heresy. Basically, they're writing against these spurious works. Paul actually says at one point, don't mind about the genealogies. So I think Matthew and Luke actually already existed when Paul was writing. I don't see why you would put a late date for the Gospels. Why would they have to be late? That's what I mean by saying the Gnostics within 40 years. I don't mean 40 years of the death of Christ, although it possibly could be that. But a lot of the stuff, why people have to put it after AD 70 is ludicrous. Because, why? Because Christ couldn't possibly have predicted the fall of the temple. That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. All right, peace to you. Well, putting stuff in the 80s, I think, is obscene. Because that means now the early church writers, fathers, are almost writing concurrent with the gospel writers. These late dates are just ludicrous. Things that saying the gospels were written in the 70s or 80s. I don't know how you could justify that. Peace to you.